I
West
love
Coast.
jazz music, and I love your jazz for young people,
Yeah.
which is also jazz for everyone, not just young people. But, how do you bring alive the Duke Ellingtons, the Dizzy Gillespies, the Dave Brubecks, and, Quincy Jones, our wonderful jazz and entrepreneurial guy who just passed away. How do you do that? How do you bring the next generation to this unbelievable set of music?
Well, they're in it. You hear this? This is they're like they could be my grandkids. From my age, I'm 40 years older than Damo. Like I don't. He knows about the music. He turned me on to stuff. Man, did you hear this? Did you check this out, Phil? I've been knowing him since he was a kid. His mom is a trumpet player, so it's they're into the music, and there's a lot of younger people who are into it. Now. From a popular standpoint, you would need a general educational improvement that we are not interested in as a country right now. One day we will be interested in it. Some of these things take a long time. Like they're not. You have a certain amount of years in your life, and as you start to get older, and you have a natural decline, you start to think about things you never thought about. How long am I going to be out here? One, and you start to realize that the problems you wanted to see solved are going to take much longer than several lifetimes. And I go back to what my mentor, Al Murray, used to always tell me. He said, always think about what it took for a person in 1350 to work on the wall of a cathedral, that they were never going to see anything but that wall their entire life. They were not going to see the cathedral. What did it take? Somebody said, hey, I have something great for you to let's start working on this, and we're going to have this wall done by the time you die. You're like, man, I don't want to work on that damn wall. I want to do something that I can feel something pride about. So, we have to maintain. Like I was fortunate to know Dizzy and to know all the great musicians and to keep them alive. We play their music. Now, there's always a push to not play their music because they represent so much. They were people with so much humanity and dignity and intelligence and humor, and they knew so much more than you could ever imagine they knew. I could tell you story after story. Sarah Vaughan, just her piano playing alone. When I first heard Sarah Vaughan play the piano, I only thought, damn, she played the piano this good and sings? Now, you know how she sang. Her piano playing was better than that. And I could go on and on and on about who these people were. And we as a culture don't know them, but they're more documented than any people. Their recordings are made. There's discography. France and Japan maintain the music. And their YouTube is fantastic for what you can just check out from. I get on YouTube to check my students out when they're playing. And you can listen to recordings. I wish we had that when I was growing up. So, the music is here. And they were some of the one blessing in my life was to know these people because they were unbelievable people. John Lewis, Elvin Jones, sit in the house with Elvin and just talk with him. And he'd bring tears to your eyes. Just talking about the depth of humanity of Train and playing with Train. And just,
everything you say, I mean, in what I do and what we do, the greatest thrill is to find a serious young writer. There's nothing like a really good student, nothing, partly because it gives you confidence in the future and so on. On the other hand, I think to myself, part of the thrill of finding a great young writer is that you did that without lowering the bar.
That's it.
That you didn't make it easier or simpler. You found people who are prepared to stretch and who are not afraid to face the fact that if you're going to play serious music or write serious prose or do serious thinking, you are automatically in a counterculture of its own.
That's right.
You just are. And, and popular culture is fine and everybody should dance the night away. It's fine. But if you're talking about young people, when you meet young people who want to be lifted up, say, to the level at which my teachers lifted me and your masters lifted you, right? I mean, as you said, you sat at the feet of almost all of them. Yeah, I mean, you're a very lucky man. And I'm a lucky man too. My teachers were, if I'd been born 10 years later, I would have missed most of them. And but the idea that a young person would be willing to go into a counterculture, it's a kind of descent. It's a kind of dissent in our
It,
culture.
it is dissent.
Yeah.
Excellence can be a form of protest in a time
exactly.
that celebrates the kind of
Bravo.
velocity of celebration of the decadence. But I want to say I have so many students that I love, and they can play. Like they're not jokes. Like they're for real about playing. And I'm gonna just leave you with a story about I met Ella Fitzgerald on the stage of Carnegie Hall, 1987. And you think because she sings like in a girly voice, you have the kind of impression she's like a girl. Or she's like, hee hee hee. You think she's just because her voice is so light. So I went to her. She was in a wheelchair. I said, Miss Fitzgerald. I went to introduce myself, say my name. And when I went to say who I was, she held her hand up and she said, I know who you are. She said, I know what you're trying to do. She said, good luck, baby. This is going to be very difficult for you. She never smiled. So I'm waiting kind of for my auntie moment, grandma moment. She's like, so then I hugged her and she hugged me and she patted me on my back. And when I walked away, she looked at me and went, and I understood what she was saying.
Yeah.
This is not a joke out here. Like you think you're going to come out here and it's going to be free, but it's not free. And I love that my kids know it's not free. Like Damo will call me at 7 o'clock in the morning and put it on FaceTime audio video and say, let's go, man. Let's get to it. Let's get up. Let's get busy. Let's get it in. That's his thing. Let's get it in. And for me, that's such an unbelievable blessing. Like, let's get it in, man. Let's go. Get out here.
Yeah.
So let's get it in.
So let's get it in.